and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ellen Boyd. I'm the author of the Toby Garrison Chronicles, a contemporary young adult drama suspense series, but I also love to read. So this is my weekly Booktube video. I heard him saying that. This is my weekly Booktube video. This week's video is my wrap-up and TBR video. So the books that I finished reading in August and the books I hope to read in September. I don't read nearly as much as I'd like to. I get reading time in as often as I possibly can. The first book I finished in August was Coraline by Neil Gaiman, and I finished it as an audiobook, and I love Neil Gaiman. He narrated the book. So he's one of the few narrators that I can listen to reading a fiction book and not zone out. It's nothing against the other narrators. There's just something special about Neil Gaiman. Audiobooks work better for me for nonfiction. I don't know why. I guess the creative side of my brain or the imagination side of my brain prefers to read with my eyes. I don't know. I gobble up nonfiction audiobooks like there's no tomorrow. But for fiction, I typically prefer the physical book. Kindle or ebooks I'm okay with, but I stare at a computer screen so much with my writing that, and everything else just seems to be on the computer, and my eyes just need a break from the blue light. One of these days I'm going to get prescription glasses with blue light protection, but I don't have that yet. So anyway, Coraline was the first book that I finished for August. The next book I'm excited that I finally finished. I started this like December or January, and I really wanted to read it, but it was a crazy first half of the year, and I didn't have a whole lot of time for reading. But Mistborn, The Final Empire. It's really well done. It's written really well. I really enjoyed it, and of course, I mean, Brandon Sanderson, he's becoming a legend in his own right. I'm looking forward to the next book. I don't know when I'm going to get to it. I don't want my reading to become like a legalistic thing. I want to read because I enjoy reading. Yes, I have a lot of books on the go right now. I prefer to read just one book and move on to the next one, but by the time I decided that that was my preference, I already had a whole lot of books started. So I'm gonna finish these books and then I'll probably go back to one book at a time, but we'll see. The next book is The Hobbit. I'm reading that as a physical book as well as an audiobook, just depending on what time of night it is, how tired my eyes are. The narration for The Hobbit is done by Andy Serkis. There's a whole bunch of different narrations. That's the one that I'm listening to, and I mean, he did the voice for Gollum in the actual movies, and he does a really good job. Funny story though, the first time I was listening to it, I listened to it without my headphones, and my cat was with me, and the scene where Bilbo meets Gollum for the first time, my cat does not like Gollum at all. He left. He was like, nope, I'm done. He left the room. There was a gap between when I started listening to this and when I was able to start up again, so I started from the beginning. I made sure to put the headphones in so it wouldn't scare him. I don't blame him. I mean, Gollum has a bit of a scary voice. Right now I'm currently on page 238, so I'm about, what's that, about 2/3 into it, 3/4 into it. 2/3 I think is more likely. So I'm 2/3 into The Hobbit. I'm sure I will finish that in September. I'm so close to the end. The book I'm reading is a book I recently bought, and my sister has been after me for years to read this book. You might know, if you watched my book haul video, you'll remember this. You'll remember me talking about this book. If you want to watch that video, if you haven't already, you can click there. But just the title of it just made me like, no, I don't want to read that book. Ew. But it's How to Eat Fried Worms. And it's about this young guy named Billy. I think Billy is the one, yeah. Billy, he makes this comment, I'm not sure how old they are, I get the feeling they're around 12. Doesn't mention their ages in the intros, but Billy tells his friends, they get in a conversation about not eating supper. He just says, you know, he'll eat anything. He'll eat anything that gets put on his plate. They start saying things like, oh, would you eat this? Would you eat that? And he's like, yeah, no problem. Yeah, of course, why not? So, I think they said at one point, would you eat dirt? And he said, well, it's just dirt. And then the question comes up, would you eat worms? And he is very nonchalant about, yeah, of course I would. So then, the famous last words. I don't know how it ends up, so there's not many spoilers I can give. I haven't gotten too far into it yet, but they dare him to eat 15 worms in 15 days. And, oh. But I'm reading it because my sister really wants me to read it, and yeah. So, How to Eat Fried Worms. That's on my TBR for September. I should be able to finish that as well, I hope. But another book that I'm hoping to finish in September is Star Trek Next Generation Imzadi. And I read this like 20 years ago, I think, or more, and I love it. It's, if you know the Star Trek Next Generation characters, there's Commander Riker, and Deanna Troi is the counselor, and Captain Picard, of course, and Data. And this book here focuses on Riker and Deanna. Imzadi is a Betazoid word. Deanna is a Betazoid, and she's an empath. If you're not familiar with the show, she's empathic. She can sense people's feelings, and she and Riker had a bit of a fling a few years before the series started. And the chemistry continues on through the series. This book examines their past and the history of their romance. And it goes back and forth between, starts off in the future where Deanna somehow mysteriously died years before, and Riker never actually got over that. Neither did her mother. And if you know Lwaxana Troi, if you watch the series at all, you know Lwaxana Troi, she would be a force to be reckoned with. Starts in the future, then it goes back and touches on, I'm assuming, I don't remember the whole story from years ago, but it seems like they're going to touch on how she died. Right now I am on page 63 with that, and it's one of my favorite books. When I read books, I should save this for my bookish facts about me, but I can do both. When I read a book, especially if I love it, I do my best to forget everything about it, so that I can read it again later on, not too far into the future, and just not remember any of the key points. I did that a number of times with Fear Nothing and Seize the Night by Dean Koontz, two of my favorite books of all time. And even now, when I can't quite forget, I force myself not to think when I'm reading those books so that I can still enjoy it. I'm weird, I know, but it's the way it is, and I own it. I know I'm weird. I'm good with that. Star Trek Next Generation Imzadi, I did the forgetting really well, because I don't remember what happens with this. I seem to remember little bits and pieces, but I don't know if I'm right or not. At the same time, I don't want to reveal those bits and pieces in case I am right and then they turn into spoilers. So yeah, it's a really good book. And then for nonfiction, the book that I'm hoping to finish in September, and I have to finish in September because I'm using it for my writing. And I said I would not talk about my writing, so I'm not going to talk about how I'm using it for my writing, other than book 3 is really, big focus is going to be mental health awareness, and this book is helping me to make that a legitimate theme, where I'm not going on stereotypes, I'm working on actual facts about psychology. And it's called The Writer's Guide to Psychology by Carolyn Kaufman. In her intro, she talks about how she started off wanting to be a writer, and then a friend of hers said, oh, you should take this psychology class, you'd really enjoy it. So she took that and then went further in psychology to help her writing more. So all the power to her. I wish I could do that. Yeah, Writer's Guide to Psychology, How to Write Accurately About Psychological Disorders, Clinical Treatment, and Human Behavior. So I'm pretty, whoops, I just lost my spot now. There, that's where I am. I'm on page 67, and there are, that's a glossary. Okay, there are 210 pages. So I'm like underlining stuff galore and using sticky notes to help me with my own writing, both with this book and with future books. So that's what I have for you this week. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe below. Don't forget to leave a comment. Let me know what books you're intending to read in September or what books you finished in August. And also if you know if Mistborn is Mistborn, Final Empire, which is the title of the series, which is the title of the book, because I would think if Final Empire was the name of the book and Mistborn was the name of the series, it would have both on the cover, would it not? I'm confused. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great week. Stay happy, healthy, and safe. Bye-bye. I'm going to be editing a lot out of this video. In her intro, it shows... Oh, what did I get on my book? In her intro, just realized I forgot to put the pillows down. So I apologize. I'm going...